Congratulations, and thanks so much for joining us today. First, I got to ask you about your outlook. We've got a big election coming up. How does what happens in that election impact your outlook on tech and the tech economy, regardless of who wins?
Well, first of all, if I knew who was going to win the election, I'd probably have a career on Sundays. So I don't, I don't think any of us really know, and there's a ton of volatility, I think, in general. Tech in general has been quite strong and even stronger through COVID, which I think has been quite a surprise for us. And I'm happy to go deeper there. But I think the big things that have come up in this election, you probably know where I stand, but vote. Let's invest in tools so that many voices can be heard online, right? How we moderate, communities, how we think about truth and fact, how we get underrepresented voices more representation, and candidly, how we kind of feel safe and secure in voting and living our lives are kind of coming to the forefront. These are all really important issues for tech to solve and play a role in as well. And so I think probably if there's a winner coming out of this election, aside from democracy, which is the most important, it is, kind of all the tech trends around this election that people will hopefully care about and build companies around. And these are areas where I spend time, like cybersecurity. So, and let's hope we're on the other side of this. We can all get back to really just tech news and supporting our fellow people, our fellow human beings in this world in a way that makes us feel good about ourselves.
You're actually wearing your I voted pin today, and I do want to ask you about the integrity of this election. We've got Mark Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey, Sundar Pichai appearing before Congress this week to testify on some of these very issues. What do you think needs to be done to ensure we have better moderation, as you say, better integrity in the process? Do you think we need regulation?
Well, I mean, listen, there's always going to be a balance between regulation and competition. I come from a liberal heritage of people who probably are on the side of more regulation, but I'm someone who believes deeply in the markets and capitalism and competition. So I think mostly that tension is important. We need to think about competing on a global scale. We need to think about, kind of the way our technologies are represented in the world. I think the biggest thing, there are some easy things to say around this. One is just more different kinds of people building technology will get us different outcomes, right? And this goes to your book, Emily, which had a big impact on me, Brotopia. If all men are building our moderation tools or our tech tools, we're likely, or wiring, our AI algorithms, we're likely to end up in a world that doesn't find balance between these things. So getting more women, more people of color in coding and executive positions and leadership positions, disagreeing, having the dialogue publicly, these are the things that will lead, I think, to a better world and a better future for all of us. And so, I don't know, the quickest way to fix all of this is, I think, to get more different kinds of people in positions of power asking these questions and building competing products. And so that's a big part of what motivates me to do my job every day.
100%, you are preaching to the choir. You have just been named, on that note, co-managing partner of Upfront Ventures, which is a rare move for a woman in venture capital. Given the macroeconomic trends, the election, the pandemic, so many of us still working from home, where do you want to place your bets? What do you want to double down on in tech?
Well, so I would say, I kind of coming out of this time, I think in the beginning of the COVID era, we all were worried that everything was going to go in a difficult direction for everyone. And it's an incredibly hard time, obviously broadly, and we need to focus on that more broadly. But specifically, I think we've been all very surprised by the boom across e-commerce, cybersecurity and cloud, automation, kind of food and ag. And I guess at Upfront, we're very fortunate to be invested in a number of these companies. So we have companies like Parachute Home and Goat, which is a sneakerhead marketplace that are growing rapidly. Parachute over 100% year over year. Goat is now a $1.7 billion company. People can't go to Foot Locker and buy shoes anymore, right? And so where and how we purchase things has changed pretty dramatically. on the opposite end of the spectrum, you have areas like cybersecurity, where I spend a majority of my time these days with great companies emerging here in Southern California out of CrowdStrike and Symantec and the like. And those are, that area has been kind of a boom beforehand, but now with kind of conversation around, I don't know, election hacking and people working from home and realizing that VPNs from 20 years ago aren't quite working the same way they need to today. I'd say there's just been an acceleration of what was already happening by 5 or 10 years. So across Upfront, you'll see.
So when it comes to cyber, Kara, are you confident in the integrity of the election process, the election that's going to happen in 8 days?
I am personally. I believe in the system. I believe that, yes, I believe that there are incredible groups going to great lengths to do this. I mean, Putin came out and said something positive about the election today. I think if there's one really positive thing that's happened in the last few weeks is just a kind of a reiteration, particularly on the part of certain candidates, that the system will work if people vote. 50 million ballots in a difficult time to vote coming into this point speaks to just record participation. And so I think we can all feel good about it. But also, listen, like, there are trillions of dollars of cybercrime out there, and we still couple $100 billion industry. So it's also a place where the best innovators in the world from all backgrounds need to be talking about it at their dinner table and investing in it.